All right, get ready. We're heading to Scotland today for this deep dive. Stunning landscapes, fascinating history, and tons of adventure. We'll be using the Love Scotland newsletter to guide us.
I have to say, this newsletter does a great job of showing just how many different kinds of experiences you can have in Scotland.
Yeah,
From rugged islands to those vibrant cities, it's definitely not an easy country to sum up.
for sure. And if you've listened to this show before, I love the more unusual recommendations, shall we say.
Mhm.
And Love Scotland actually suggests skinny dipping in Vatersay.
Oh, yeah, Vatersay. It's one of the Outer Hebrides, a chain of islands known for, well, their stark beauty and those crystal clear waters.
Right.
So imagine this. You step onto a beach that looks like it belongs in the Caribbean, but then you plunge into the bracing chill of the Atlantic. Pretty unique kind of thrill, don't you think?
Definitely not your typical beach vacation. Yeah, but that seems to be the essence of Scotland, doesn't it? Pushing boundaries, embracing the unexpected. It's a place that really encourages you to uh, step outside that comfort zone, I think.
Definitely. And what's so fascinating is how that sense of adventure is woven into like the very fabric of Scottish culture.
Yeah.
Think about the Highland Games. These aren't just sporting events. They're a celebration of strength and skill and, of course, tradition, passed down through generations.
And Love Scotland tells us they're more popular than ever.
Yeah.
Something really captivating about seeing those feats of strength and athleticism, feeling that connection to history and heritage.
And even if we look past those physical challenges, we can see this adventurous spirit reflected in other parts of Scottish life, too. Love Scotland highlights a new inland surf resort in Edinburgh.
Okay.
It's built in an old quarry, so it's a testament to Scotland's innovative spirit, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's transforming something unexpected into something special.
Surfing in a quarry. Now that's thinking outside the box.
Huh.
Seems like Scotland is full of these surprising juxtapositions. Ancient castles overlooking modern cities, rugged landscapes giving way to rolling hills and those gentle lochs.
Exactly. It's a country that embraces its contradictions, and that's what makes it so interesting. You can experience the tranquility of the Highlands one day, and then the bustling energy of Edinburgh the next. And speaking of Edinburgh, we can't forget about the Edinburgh Christmas Market.
Right.
Love Scotland describes it as a must-do.
Sounds magical. Ice skating, fairground games, twinkling lights. Sounds like the perfect place to get into that holiday spirit.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, with all these amazing options, what has caught your eye? What would be at the top of your Scottish bucket list?
That's a tough one. There are so many amazing things to see and do, but the Outer Hebrides, they really have a special allure for me.
Okay.
There's just a sense of remoteness and beauty out there that's captivating.
I can see why. It's like stepping back in time,
Yeah.
experiencing a landscape that hasn't changed much for centuries. But let's not forget about those iconic Highland cows.
Oh, yeah.
Those shaggy beasts are practically a symbol of Scotland's rugged charm. Have you ever encountered them in person?
I have, yeah.
Sure.
They're quite a sight. Gentle giants, really. And their presence adds another layer to those Scottish landscapes.
It's interesting how Love Scotland really stresses that we should book experiences in advance for next year.
Yeah.
It seems like people are really catching on, flocking to Scotland to experience all it has to offer.
It's not a surprise, really. Scotland has a way of capturing people's imaginations.
It really does. And for those of you listening, if you're feeling inspired to plan your own Scottish adventure, Love Scotland has some fantastic recommendations. We'll dive into those a little later in the show.
Yeah, we'll be exploring some really unique experiences, including a stay at Turin Castle.
Oh.
You can immerse yourself in traditional Scottish country pursuits there.
That sounds amazing.
Hmm.
We'll be back in a bit to delve into the details of Turin Castle and other hidden gems in the heart of Scotland.
Turin Castle is more than just a pretty building. It's a way to understand how closely connected land ownership and those traditional pursuits were for the Scottish nobility.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Love Scotland suggests trying activities like hunting and fishing, even falconry,
Right.
things that used to be like essential skills for survival and for your social standing.
Imagine standing on a hillside, a trained falcon above you, connecting you to hundreds of years of Scottish tradition.
Wow. But for those looking for a more modern adventure, our source also mentioned something pretty unexpected.
Yeah.
Europe's largest inland surf resort. And it's not on the coast. It's in Edinburgh.
Right.
That feeling of adventure we talked about with the skinny dipping and Vatersay, you can find that inland too.
Absolutely.
It's a great example of how Scotland embraces innovation, but still respects the natural landscape. They turned what could have been an eyesore into a thrilling cutting-edge experience.
For sure.
Wake surfing in a disused quarry. Scotland just keeps getting more and more interesting. It's like they took the phrase, think outside the box, and were like, hold my whiskey. This deep dive is full of these contrasts, from those icy dips in Vatersay to the competition at the Highland Games.
And speaking of the Highland Games, those events are steeped in history and tradition.
Yeah.
A living testament to Scotland's clan culture and that warrior past.
Right.
You know, with events like the caber toss and the stone put showcasing amazing strength and skill.
Love Scotland does say that these games are as popular now as they ever were. Makes you wonder, what is it about these traditions that people still connect with so strongly, even today?
It's interesting to think about what's driving all this interest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Outlander effect with that romantic view of Highland life.
Right.
Or maybe it's that people are just looking for more authentic, nature-based experiences, things that connect them to a sense of place and history.
And we can't forget the food. Love Scotland mentions this whole list of 44 must-try Scottish foods and drinks.
Wow.
From haggis to a wee dram of whiskey. It seems like a whole other adventure,
Scottish cuisine often reflects the country's rugged landscape and resourcefulness.
Yep.
It's hearty and flavorful and definitely rooted in tradition.
Right.
For example, Cullen Skink is this creamy soup made with smoked haddock, potatoes, and onions.
Ooh.
A real taste of the Scottish coast.
You're making me hungry. I'm picturing fresh oysters and smoked salmon.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice bowl of that Cullen Skink after a day exploring castles and hiking.
And speaking of fest of cheer, Love Scotland really describes the Edinburgh Christmas market so well.
Yeah.
It sounds like one of those places where you can just wander through the stalls, look at all the gifts, have some mulled wine, and just take in the atmosphere. It's a great example of how Scotland blends old traditions with modern festivities.
Exactly.
Love Scotland even mentions an ice rink and fairground games. It seems like the perfect mix of childlike wonder and, grown-up indulgence. But beyond the markets and city lights, there's a place that's really caught my attention, Sterling.
Oh, yeah. Our source calls it the Gateway to the Highlands. And it sounds perfect for history lovers.
Ah, Stirling. It's one of those places where you can, feel the history. Stirling Castle, right on top of that volcanic crag, has seen some of the most important moments in Scottish history, including the Wars of Independence.
I was reading about William Wallace, the Scottish hero from the movie Braveheart. He won that battle against the English at Stirling Bridge, which is right by the castle.
Exactly. And just imagine standing on the ramparts of Stirling Castle and picturing the clash of armies, those horses, the fight for freedom. It's like a direct link to a past that still means so much to the Scottish people.
Wow. It really makes you think. And from Stirling, you can easily get to the Highlands, a region of stunning beauty and rugged wilderness.
We'll talk about that incredible landscape in a bit.
Okay.
But first, we have one more stop before we leave the cities. We have to talk about this really unique suggestion from Love Scotland.
Oh, yeah. This one is definitely for people who, well, let's just say they like to travel a little differently. We'll be right back to talk about this truly unique and unexpected experience. All right, we're back. Ready to uncover another one of those hidden gems from Love Scotland? And this one's for those who, well, let's just say they're not afraid to let it all hang out.
Ah, the skinny dipping suggestion. It's not your typical travel advice, but it does make you think about freedom and that connection with nature that I think people are looking for these days.
It's definitely not for everyone, but Love Scotland presents it as a way to, really immerse yourself in that raw beauty of the Scottish landscape.
Yeah.
They suggest finding a secluded beach on the Isle of Watersay. Shed those inhibitions right along with your clothes and take a dip in those crystal clear waters.
It's almost like a baptism, isn't it? A cleansing ritual where you just shed all those layers of everyday life and embrace the elements. And in a place like Scotland, where the landscape is so rugged and untamed, it feels almost, primal. A way to really connect with that ancient spirit of the land.
It's definitely a unique way to experience the Scottish wilderness. And speaking of wilderness, we can't forget about the Highlands. Love Scotland calls them a must-see for anyone visiting Scotland.
The Highlands are truly something special. Imagine those towering mountains, deep valleys carved by glaciers, and huge expanses of moorland. And then those sparkling lochs. It's a landscape that just evokes this sense of awe and wonder, a place where you can really feel the power of nature.
It sounds like the perfect escape from, the everyday hustle and bustle.
Absolutely. And if you really want to experience the Highlands, Love Scotland recommends a visit to Glencoe.
Okay.
It's a valley that's steeped in history and has this almost mythical feel.
Glencoe's known for its dramatic scenery, but also for that tragic event in Scottish history, the Massacre of Glencoe in 1692.
Right.
When members of the MacDonald clan were murdered by government forces. It's a reminder that even in the most beautiful places, there can be darkness.
Yeah, it is. It's a reminder of how complex Scottish history really is. A history with both great beauty and great sorrow. But even with those tragedies, the spirit of the Scottish people has endured.
It really has. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Scotland today, I think it's safe to say that this is a country that truly offers something for everyone. From the adrenaline rush of skinny dipping in the Atlantic to the quiet contemplation of a highland glen, from the busy cities to those remote islands, Scotland is full of contrasts and surprises.
It's a country that invites you to explore and discover and to create your own unique Scottish story. Whether you're seeking adventure, history, culture, or just a chance to get away from it all, Scotland has it.
So as we say farewell to the land of whiskey and bagpipes, we encourage you to check out the links in the Love Scotland newsletter and start planning your own unforgettable Scottish adventure.
And remember, whether you decide to embrace that wild side of Scotland or just take in the scenery, one thing is for sure. A trip to Scotland will stay with you long after you've gone home.
Until next time, happy travels, and may your journeys be filled with adventure and the joy of discovery.